Hello everyone. Today I wanted to talk about Fortnite, and there's a lot to be said about this game. Been around for a few years. I think the first time I played it was around like 2018. One of my cousins that I was very close to, that I'm still fairly close to, he really liked this game, and he said something along the lines of like, "Oh yeah, like Fortnite is gonna be around forever." Now I don't actually know if Fortnite will be around forever. It's a live service game. There's always that's kind of one of the concerns that I have about Fortnite. If they ever wanted to, they could always say like, "All right, we're done making Fortnite. We're gonna close the servers. See you all later." They could do that. I don't think they'll necessarily do that anytime soon, but eventually that could happen. In my opinion, I think one of the most interesting things about Fortnite is the fact that it's a game that can bridge the generational gap, meaning like from what I've observed, millennials play this game, Gen Zers play this game. Maybe there's a few younger people and older people that play this game too. But there's a lot of people that play this game. Like chances are, if you bring this up with a random person in your life, that's probably a guy, right? But there are some girls that play this game too. They will probably know what this game is. They'll probably have played it. Maybe they have an account. Who knows, right? And it's really interesting because I don't know a whole lot of games that do that. Now, okay, one of the first times that I played this game again, it was in 2018. I didn't buy the Battle Pass. And if you don't buy the Battle Pass and you don't have any skins, you just have your default skin, this game can still be kind of fun. It's still good, it's still enjoyable. But I remember one of the reasons why I stopped playing it, I didn't have the Battle Pass, I didn't want to spend money on it. When I would level up, it felt kind of like useless, kind of pointless, because you didn't really unlock anything fun if you had a free account, without a Battle Pass. So I left the game, because it didn't feel rewarding to me at the time, right? I also, at that time as well, the computer that I had could barely handle the game on the lowest settings. That also had a huge effect on this. I didn't really have a system or a console that could handle the game. That really messed things up for me, right? Fast forward a few years, I ended up getting a Switch. I ended up getting a Switch. And then I was playing Nintendo games, and I saw that I could play Fortnite on the Switch. And that was the only thing I had at the time that could handle Fortnite. So I've spent a few years playing, or I don't know if it was a few years, but at least 1 year maybe, right? Just playing Fortnite on the Switch. And if you've ever done that before, you know that Fortnite does not handle particularly great on the Switch. I mean, the game can handle it for the most part, but like the load times are terrible. And the game doesn't look very good unless you play it docked. Then it looks it looks all right. But yeah, would not for the most part, I would not recommend that you play Fortnite on the Switch. Another thing that's really interesting about Fortnite is like the amount of IPs that the game has. Now, one thing I was thinking about is like, wow, they have so many IPs. They have Marvel, they have Star Wars, they had Simpsons, right? And I remember thinking like, whoa, wait a minute. All these IPs are owned by Disney. So it was this really weird thing where I was like, oh, Epic and Disney just work together a lot. I mean, obviously there's other companies that work with, Fortnite as well. But there's two really obvious ways that that Disney and Epic games work decently well with each other, I suppose. It was either Infinity War or Endgame, I think, right? Yeah, Fat Thor, he's sitting on the couch, he's depressed, and he's playing Fortnite. Of all the games, he's playing Fortnite. I think it was kind of goofy to put Fortnite inside of a Marvel movie like that. I think as far as I know, they only did that the one time. It was kind of funny the first time you see it, and then every other time it's like, me personally, I kind of grown like, oh, there's Fortnite in Avengers. I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny and goofy. So there's another thing where you see that Disney and Epic Games work with each other as well. In Star Wars Episode 9, that terrible movie where somehow Palpatine has returned, right? That movie opens with like a quote or something, like the text crawl, right? And it says, oh, there's a message out in the galaxy, and it says that Palpatine has returned. And you never see or hear that message in the movies, like the actual Star Wars movies. You want to know where you hear that message? That message, you hear it in Fortnite. So, as some people say, it's canonical that Fortnite and Star Wars are connected in that way. Palpatine, the Empire, sent out this message, and you can only hear it in Fortnite. That's interesting. It's just, I don't know, I think it's really goofy. So I guess just briefly, I want to talk about some of the positives, like the good aspects of Fortnite. A nice thing about Fortnite is the fact that it's free. If you're like gaming on a budget and you don't have a whole lot of money for like a new game, or you don't have a everybody has a backlog, right? But maybe you get tired of the games in your backlog and you just want to play something fun with some friends, right? Fortnite is always a decent option. If you want to spend money on it, you can spend $10 approximately, right? And get a battle pass. And sometimes the battle passes are fun. Sometimes they're not. Like, I think right now Chapter 7 is out, I believe, right? And it's like a Hollywood-based battle pass. So you have Marty McFly, which is cool. And then you have a character from Kill Bill. I don't remember her name because I haven't seen Kill Bill. And that battle pass didn't really interest me too much, so I've just kind of set it out, not really engaging with it too much. But every now and then they do some fun stuff. But yeah, like the battle pass is fairly cheap. You can get a few skins, a few emotes. And then the really nice thing about that battle pass is that if you just buy the pass and you complete it, it's self-sustaining, meaning like you'll get your V-Bucks back and then you can just buy the next battle pass. So that's actually really nice because there are some free-to-play games where you can buy like a pass and it doesn't necessarily self-sustain. It's like, oh, you've unlocked all the levels. Now, if you want to get a new pass, you're going to have to spend more money. So that is actually a very nice aspect to Fortnite, in my opinion, right? You could technically just spend the $10 for one battle pass and never have to spend money on the game again and still unlock stuff for the game, right? I think that's really nice. I think it's really cool. I will give Fortnite that credit. I think one of the biggest reasons why this game has lasted so long is that I really think, for the most part, the social element of this game is more important. Like, there aren't a whole lot of games that I play with my friends and cousins, but one game that I play with them fairly often is Fortnite because, again, it's free. It runs on, the different platforms, right? Everybody's probably played it for the most part. Most people play it to some degree, right? So if I ever want to jump on a game and play with my friends, Fortnite is usually a very viable option. There's other options out there as well, but I'm just saying that Fortnite is very accessible, which is very nice. There's also a wide range of content in Fortnite. They've been gradually adding more and more stuff. Like, of course, you have the Battle Royale stuff. That's the pretty, that's like the bread and butter of Fortnite, right? And then you have Lego modes, you have racing, you have Fall Guys, because Fall Guys is owned by Epic Games, so they put some Fall Guys elements in there. Every now and then you'll get a co-op mode. I really wish, for me, if I was going to play Fortnite more, or enjoy it more, one thing that I would personally like to see more is a co-op mode. More co-op modes. Because every now and then they'll throw somewhat recently they had like a Demon Hunter collab where you're just fighting all of these like minions and you're fighting together with the group of people and it's PvE. I always personally tend to enjoy PvE a little bit more because it's less competitive and it's more, cooperative, more collaborative. You're supporting other people and you're just playing a game. You're having a good time. You're not necessarily stressing over like, oh, I need to be the winner in this. No, like you can just play the game, enjoy it with some other people, and fight some enemies that are AI. That's me personally. I kind of tend to enjoy that. So I really wish that Fortnite did more co-op stuff. But every now and then they do release a co-op mode. And then, of course, you have the custom community-made games. And those are also fun, too. Like, you get a lot of tycoon games, some horror games. There's other games as well. But, I think it's kind of nice that Fortnite gives people the building blocks of the game so that they can make a game within Fortnite, right? That's pretty fun, because that opens the doors for a lot of different content to be created. So I would say, for the most part, those are the positives. Now, of course, there's also some negatives that come along with this game, right? Or, like, some of the concerns, right? These are negatives and concerns. In my opinion, I think it's kind of unfortunate that Fortnite gets like a bad rap. It's like, people would be like, oh, you play Fortnite? Oh, that's such a dumb game. That's such a silly game. Like, people kind of make fun of it. People think lowly of the game. And that's perfectly fine. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. But again, I don't really care all that much. I just think it's strange. My biggest concern with Fortnite is really just the fact that it's a live service game. I kind of mentioned this, I believe, at the beginning of the video, but, because Fortnite is a live service game, it runs on a server. Those servers need to be maintained with money. And so the game really only survives as long as people are playing it, as long as people are spending money on it, and as long as the people at Epic Games see that Fortnite is profitable. Now, if any of those things change, or if all of those things change, Epic Games could always decide, we're not going to have Fortnite up anymore. We're just going to shut it down and no more Fortnite. That could always happen, That's a very real possibility. They could do it for valid reasons, like, oh, well, there's not enough players, we're not making enough profit, so we're just gonna cut the program now, right? They could do it for that reason, or they could just arbitrarily be like, some random day, they might decide not to have it anymore, or like, maybe someone, and I'm not saying that I want this to happen, right? But if someone ever did something illegal, like they hacked into the systems or the system got compromised, then the game could be destroyed for that reason. Like the fact that it's live service comes with a lot of baggage, a lot of potential for bad things to happen, which would be terrible. So that's one of the concerns about it. Like it's not like oh, I spent this amount of money on this game, so I have it forever. If anything, I would personally like to see Fortnite do some sort of like single player option or some sort of offline option. I don't know how that would work, but I think it would be really cool if it was just like, all right, guys, like if Fortnite ever gets shut down, at least we have this specific mode that if you want to just download the game and you just want to play by yourself and have fun with all of the content that you've unlocked and that you've purchased or that you've earned, then you can keep it and you can play this single player mode. I think that would be really nice. I think that would be really cool because, like, if you really think about it, there's probably people, I'm sure there's people, right, who have spent hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands of dollars, God forbid. There probably are some people who have spent $10,000s of dollars on this, maybe even more. I could never, but hey, is there money? Do what you want with it. If you hate having money, give it to, give it to someone else. Give it to me. No, I'm just kidding. It's not hard to imagine that there's people who have spent hundreds or thousands of dollars on this game, and then if Fortnite pulls the plug, then all of that money is down the drain. All that time that they spent on the game is down the drain. That's a real possibility, right? So that's why I personally don't spend too much of my time or money on this game, because I know it could just go up in smoke someday, right? There is another negative to this game, and it is tied to the Battle Pass. Just because you buy a Battle Pass doesn't mean that you automatically get everything that's in the pass. You basically just buy the ability to unlock everything with your time and your energy. I do think you can spend money to unlock the levels yourself, so you can spend more money just to get everything right off the bat, and some people do that. I don't like doing that, and it kind of sucks because you'll often hear like a criticism of like, oh, Fortnite feels like a second job. And it's not just Fortnite, there's other live service games that do that too. It's not a great feeling buying a battle pass or getting access to it and being like, all right, I gotta unlock everything, I've gotta put time into this. Especially because sometimes leveling can be pretty grindy. It can demand quite a bit of time and quite a bit of effort. That's perfectly fine if this is like one of the very few games you play. But if you don't play this game too much and you buy the pass, you might just unlock a few things and then not even finish the pass. And then once that... And then here's another thing too. The pass is only available for a certain amount of time. So me personally, another thing I would really like to see is if you bought the pass, you could just keep it forever and then you can just unlock it at your own pace. I think that would be nice. Or give you more quests so you can get more experience faster, so you can unlock the pass, just faster, not be so grindy, right? Because a big problem with this game is, yeah, it is a bit grindy. You have your dailies, your daily quests, you have your weekly quests, and I think there's like season-long quests too. But what happens is, like, at the beginning of a season, you might have a lot of opportunity to get a lot of XP. But then, like, the longer you play, you can't... To put it simply, the returns that you get for your time investment, especially if you binge play the game, you get less and less experience, and it doesn't feel like it's worth your time, right? Like, I always, like, the way I level up is I'll, like, look at the quests. I'll try to tackle quests every now and then, like, on a daily or weekly basis. And that's usually like the most efficient way to get the XP from what I've experienced. You can't really say like, okay, I have Saturday and Sunday, I have a weekend, right? And I'm just gonna play the game for these 2 days and I'm gonna unlock everything. Like, you really can't do that because you're not gonna get a whole lot of experience. And it's time consuming. That's effectively what I'm saying. It's time consuming to unlock everything. I feel like you gain less experience the longer that you play and the longer that you sit with it. And I get why they have like the weekly quests, because they want people to keep coming throughout the whole season rather than just to show up for like a week or two, play the whole game, and then leave the game untouched for months. Like, I get that, but a lot of us don't want Fortnite or any live service game to feel like a second job, right? Again, that's perfectly fine if it's one of the few games that you play and you play it, on a daily basis. But if you don't, then it makes the experience less enjoyable, Now, there's two other things that I was thinking about. One thing is that you always see these videos on YouTube or like this discourse on Fortnite of like, is Fortnite dead? Is Fortnite dying? Or is it the end of Fortnite? And that always happens. The player count fluctuates. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. So I was wondering about the question is, will Fortnite be here to stay? Will it survive? Really, we don't know. That's really just going to depend on, obviously, Epic Games, right? Are they going to have access to enjoyable and interesting IPs? Are they going to make stuff themselves that's pretty interesting and fun to play? They could do that too. You know, is the game basically enjoyable for enough people to come in, spend money on the game, play it together? Is it going to have enough players who are invested in it time-wise and money-wise, right? That's really what it boils down to. This game could continue to succeed for many, many more years, maybe more decades, or it could fail within months or a year. Who knows, right? You know, the fate of Fortnite is a mystery. We'll only know once the time comes, if the time comes, right? So who knows? Who knows if Fortnite will survive? I kind of hope that Fortnite will survive, but anything can happen, right? There's really nothing that is too big to fail, you know? There's also this other unfortunate aspect about Fortnite. I was listening to this YouTuber talk about, they weren't even talking about Fortnite, they were talking about Star Wars. They were talking about this concept that like, Star Wars is such a huge franchise with such a huge fan base that it would be impossible to please all of the fans with whatever that they make. Basically, it's this idea of like, you know, you can apply this to Fortnite, right? Fortnite has such a wide audience and such a wide range of players that more or less whatever they do, they're not going to be able to please everybody. Like, because you have really competitive players who like to build things and like to get the victory royales, and they like to be the winners in the matches, and they like to compete with real people. And then you have like more casual players who just want to jump into the game, just play it for a few hours every now and then put down the game. I tend to play it a little bit more casually. Like, I'll just play it to, you know, finish the battle pass, play it with my cousins, play it with my friends. I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a competitive player. I'm a bit more casual, I think. But again, whatever Fortnite does, it's either going to disappoint. Usually it'll disappoint either the competitive people or the casual people, or, you know, all that fun stuff. Because when I first played this game, back in when it was first out, you know, in about 2018, I enjoyed the game a bit, but one of the things I struggled with is that a lot of the players were like doing insane builds. They were very skilled. I would always die by like 50th place approximately. It was very rare for me to get a victory royale. Like, I think it's very possible that I might have only gotten like maybe 1 or 2 victory royales in the tens and tens of games that I played on Fortnite back in that time, because it was very difficult to do. There was a lot of real life players. I don't think there was a whole lot of AI players yet at that time, maybe none. So I remember the game being very difficult for me because I was a noob. I didn't know how to build, and I really struggled with the game, and so I had less fun with it. Now, there's more bots in the game, and that's like for lack of a better word, that's like a controversial thing to have those AI bots in the game, because some people are like me personally, I like that there's AI bots because it allows me to practice playing the game. Like, I can actually practice, like, okay, let me use my shotgun, let me use my assault rifle, let me get better at the game by fighting these AIs. And so I can actually, like, do things in the game. But other people don't like it because they want the challenge of fighting against another competitive player, another human being, right? Seeing whether they're good enough to overcome them or be defeated by them, right? So that's a very, you know, very wide audience that Fortnite has. You can't please everyone, and it is what it is, you know? But yeah, me personally, I enjoy the game. I hope it stays around for a good long while. Let me know what you guys think of this game. You know, feel free to like the video or subscribe or comment, whatever you want to do that helps with the algorithm and all that fun stuff. I also like to read the comments. I like to see what people say. Maybe I'll reply. Who knows, right? But thank you for watching. I hope I didn't waste your time. Hopefully you got something valuable out of this video, right? Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Y'all take care, and I will see you all later.